So let me explain where I'm coming from. So I meet people who I have a lot of agreements with, and I can have respect for anybody depending on how they present themselves. I'm trying to surround my people that I respect more, that operate a certain way, to help me be better. And so, like, look, if you're one of those people, don't bother coming around. I don't want to be drugged down. I'm not trying to say you're not a Christian or you're not saved. I just don't want to go down that road. But regarding Adventist position, so I find a lot of agreement with a lot of different groups, Orthodox on some level, which I can't affirm because I'm a Protestant, and I affirm the Protestant movement for the reasons it broke away ultimately. But I do not agree with a lot of Protestants who don't keep the Sabbath. And so, look, if you don't want to keep the Sabbath, I wouldn't want to make you do it. But if you're going to come at me with Colossians 2 or Romans 14, I don't accept that surface level reading. If you look into the answers of what Sabbath keepers say about those texts, they're legitimate. Now, I don't even agree with the Hebrew roots. I think Colossians 2 is saying that the temple services are done away with, in the sense that an earthly temple. Now, we do believe an earthly temple will come back, but it's going to come from heaven, where Jesus is ministering the new covenant. So it's not like I'm saying it's just the 10 Commandments, but I am saying it's not the entire Mosaic covenant. There's reasons for that. The text demands it. But look, I've made a lot of videos about, if you just quote Colossians 2 and you don't understand the context, look at my content. It's not talking about the weekly Sabbath at all. It's talking about offerings. Now, we still present ourselves as a living offering to draw people into the faith. We still give up things for God, but we don't have to get cleansed in the way they did in the Old Testament, since the blood of Christ cleanses us now, once for all. Okay? So look, if you disagree with me, I like Pentecostals, those types. We have a lot of agreements, but I know all the arguments and all the texts that people use to try to say the Sabbath is done away with. If you want to say we don't get it, we're not spirit baptized, we're not walking in the Spirit, that's not really true. At least not necessarily true, right? Just like there's hyper-charismatics or Pentecostals that think you have to speak in tongues. Look, if you speak in tongues, I'm not into it, I don't get it. If you're going to say I'm not saved because of it, I think that's ridiculous. Now, sin is the transgression of the law. The Sabbath is one of the commandments in the 10 Commandments, which you can't change, okay? I think you should keep the food laws, because people misread the text, so they think Jesus did it. Jesus can't do away with any of the laws of Moses in his ministry, because the new covenant hasn't come yet. And if he's teaching against them, look, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is he's interpreting the law as a rabbi. He is this God. He cannot teach against Moses before the covenant has been ratified, until he brings a new covenant. So there is no way that makes any sense. So, anyways, so what am I saying? I'm saying we can agree to disagree, but I'm not. I know all the arguments against not keeping the Sabbath, and they're not convincing, and they're surface level. So, like, if you don't want, we can agree on other things and have fellowship, but I'm not compromising the truth. You know? If you don't want to hear it, don't watch my Sabbath videos. But the Sabbath stands forever. Read Isaiah 56, Isaiah 66, what Jesus said in his sermons. Because Jesus taught what we're supposed to do. He gave the Great Commission. Not Paul, not a confused version of Paul that's in disagreement with Jesus. No, Paul said Jesus is the master. Now the question is, what do we do with the book of Hebrews? Well, the sacrifices are fulfilled. They represented something that's fulfilled in Christ. But the morals, the ways of God are the same God. Jesus isn't a new God. He's Yahweh. Who cares if you believe in the Trinity if you do away with all the things that make Jesus have unity with the Father? Give me a break. Oh, wow, you affirm the Trinity? Good for you. That's right. I think it's right, and I think it's important. But if you turn around and make Jesus out of unity with his Father, or teaching against the laws of Moses in his ministry, well, you got yourself a false God. That's my position. God bless.